Welcome to the 22nd episode of season 1 of Jaane-Anjaane with me Rajiv Mathur. आज के जो हमारे खास मेहमान हैं उनके लिए इंट्रोडक्शन के कोई शब्द मेरे पास है ही नहीं, क्योंकि उनका जो नेचर है, उनका जो जॉब प्रोफाइल है, उनका जो किरदार है वो पूरा 360 डिग्री पे घूमता है. बट जस्ट टू इंट्रोड्यूस अपूर्व टंडन, who is the global director with Data Flow Group after serving in the army for a longer period. Apurva, you are most welcome in this episode of Jaane-Anjaane और आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत और हम अभिनंदन करते हैं.
Thank you. Great to be here.
तो अपूर्व, जैसे अभी थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन हमने आपका देने की कोशिश करी कि आपका जो किरदार और आपका जो नेचर है वो पूरा 360 डिग्री पे है, लेकिन यही सवाल अगर आपसे पूछा जाए कि अपूर्व टंडन एज अ पर्सन अपना इंट्रोडक्शन करना चाहेंगे तो वो हम आपसे सुनना चाहते हैं.
Thank you for that 360 degree introduction. मैं ये बोलना चाहता हूँ राजीव कि अपूर्व टंडन as a person is somebody who's very passionate about what he does. He's very possessive about people he loves, people in his life. And Apurva Tandon is somebody who would like to take chances in life. I'm a person who would like to not kind of go with the flow. So I always like to run in the opposite direction, try and look at things beyond the normal and beyond the ordinary. And I do that probably because I have a huge passion in living life to the fullest. So that is what I do in work, in life, everywhere. That's what I am.
तो हमने जो बात करी अपूर्व, आपका पूरा किरदार की जो 360 डिग्री और हम उस पूरा 360 डिग्री की बात करेंगे, लेकिन टॉकिंग अबाउट द फर्स्ट 90% of your life, so just let us know about your journey till now, your days in the army, and after that what about the corporate world?
I'll not go too far back. I'll start after having been a student in Delhi in the early 80s. I joined the army after completing my graduation from the Delhi University, and joined the artillery within the army and served there for about 24 years. I commanded a unit while in the army, and that was one of the most privileged experiences that anybody can have within the army. 24 साल के बाद I decided to take early retirement. Took an early retirement, came out in the corporate world, and I joined a couple of companies. This is my second job actually within the corporate, and I have been part of the operational leadership, and probably there's something which comes from my army background, that I love operations. That's something where all the challenges are, and the timelines, the challenges. That is something which kind of takes me back to where I was while in uniform. So that's an environment, that's an ecosystem where I think I thrive the most in. And fortunately, I have had these opportunities outside in the corporate, and I've been enjoying my journey till now, from the time I joined almost about 9 years back.
एक बहुत ही अच्छा कोइंसिडेंस आपका और हमारा जो है वो हम लोग एक ही कॉलेज से पास आउट हैं. तो the year you left college, I joined, and the year I left, Sanjay joined. So it's a good chain forming up on the platform of Jaane-Anjaane. Secondly, आपने हमें ये भी बताया था कि you wanted to become an architect, and then you went into the army. But इसके अलावा कुछ और बचपन की बातें. Tell us more about your parents and your childhood.
So Rajiv, I grew up as youngest of the 3 siblings in a normal middle class family. Like all of us, in the early 80s or in the late 70s, early 80s, we all grew up in a typical middle class, environment. Not too much of money, but a lot of value systems. So that's how we all grew up. I was also part of that same ecosystem. So my father had a transferable job. He also moved a lot of places within India. We all moved with him. And then finally, towards the end of my schooling, around 9th, 10th is when we moved to Delhi. And coming to a big city from relatively smaller places, it was of course a huge cultural change for all of us. All my the two brothers and my sister. But the good part is that all three of us adapted very well to the new environment, and it kind of within a matter of months we were like thriving in a big city culture, in a big city environment. And I think that, and with a lot of encouragement from our parents, that made a lot of difference. उससे जो हमारे अंदर वो confidence आया कि you can survive in a big city and do start doing well. Plus all our interests, like hobbies and interests, like I had a lot of interest in music, singing, drawing, sketching, writing short stories and stuff like that age, whatever we could write, whatever I could write. But then I had that passion. I used to read a lot. And the good part was, like all middle class parents, encouraging parents, I got a lot of encouragement to follow my passion, my all my hobbies. And that really helped. So school, college mein, being being a musician, being able to sing, write, sketch, paint. So all those things added to what the value that you brought to what you could bring to the table within school. And that really helped. So one enjoyed the school life, as well as one did very well. Like I was a head boy in my class 11 in my school, and so that very, very nice experience of getting power, but at the same time having that respect from among the peer group as well as from the junior. So that leadership kind of a thing, that came little early in life. And I would say, that was probably something which eventually prompted me to get into a uniform life. But like you said, architecture is something that I wanted to always do. और मैंने उसके लिए बहुत कोशिश करी, एंड एज लक वुड हैव इट एकदम लास्ट में पहुंच के और अंत में जाके और कुछ ना कुछ हो जाता था, एंड आई वुड नॉट गेट इन फॉर सम रीजन. बट somehow it all boiled down to, वो कहते हैं ना कि जब डिसाइडेड होता है कि आपने जाना है कहीं पे, आपका करियर एक लाइन में जाना है, तो सब कुछ उसी हिसाब से होता है. तो whatever I could do to try and become an architect, it did not work out. And eventually I landed up in the army, which was not my first choice to start with. But then once I got in, it was a great journey, like I said earlier.
We also know, Apurva, that you met your wife during the army days, and that's a very interesting incident. So tell us about that incident, and tell us more about ma'am and your kids.
Thanks for asking this. This is something very, very close to my heart. And so I was posted in Amritsar. I was a young captain there, and like all young officers, we all had our motorcycles, and we all had our routes, where we would go for our gedi, as we call it in Delhi. So our route was typically, which would run in front of a ladies' college, a girls' college. तो हम जितनी बार पेट्रोल भराने जाते थे, हम गर्ल्स कॉलेज के सामने से जाते थे, वहां से निकलते थे, and there were other routes to go to the petrol pump, but naturally, this was the preferred route. And so we would do that at least once every 2 days, and make sure that we are generally looking around and stuff like that. And that's how that's where we saw each other, me and my to-be wife. And we kind of we looked at each other, we had that little chemistry, and then we tried to find out about each other. उस जमाने में मोबाइल फोन्स होते नहीं थे, बट हमने किसी तरह कुछ कॉमन फ्रेंड्स, कुछ कैंटोनमेंट की लड़कियां थी जो कॉलेज में पढ़ती थी, सेम कॉलेज में. We managed to get the address, the telephone number, the landline number, started talking, and we realized that we had a lot of things in common. And of course, we started seeing each other a little bit, and within a matter of few months, it was very clear to both of us that we needed to be together. So there's a very interesting saying in our family. When anybody asks my wife that where did you meet Apurva, and how did you guys how did it happen? तो वो पंजाबी में कहते हैं, पंजाबी में she would reply and tell them that वो राज आंधिया मिल गया. And it was actually exactly like that, because it was on our way to the petrol pump that we saw each other, and that's where we kind of met each other for the first time. So that's what we tell the family members whenever everybody asks. But yes, that was a very, very nice thing. I think the best gift that I got from my posting in Amritsar. My daughter Arushi was also born in Amritsar. And after that, of course, we moved out for different postings and courses. Uh, my wife Gauri has been a teacher, because that's all that she could do while being in the army with us, moving places. And while she was a qualified, she could have done, of course, a lot of things, but then there was a limitation, restriction, because of which she had to take up teaching assignments. So she was a teacher for almost 20 years. And post that, after I left the army, she decided to also, venture into a second career, look at some other opportunities. So she did a course in cosmetology, at the age of almost in her mid 40s, and became a certified cosmetologist. And she opened her own salon. So she's now an entrepreneur, who runs a salon of her own. And also she's into a lot of other stuff. She keeps learning new things, new health related things. She's also a qualified holistic healer. My daughter Arushi is she's also a very, very passionate writer, and I'm very glad that one of the things that I could pass on to her was the habit of reading. So she's also a voracious reader, if not more voracious reader than me. And she did her graduation again from Delhi University. And after her graduation, she worked in a couple of startups and Ashoka University, which was her last job as an assistant manager. And she is now a solopreneur on her own. So she started her own startup of creative writing and content building. And also she is pursuing her master's from Amity University in journalism and mass communication.
Completing the 360-degree circle, your hobbies and your passion, and that you have spoken about sketching and painting, which I was not aware. I am aware that you have been an author and you have written a wonderful book called 10-Meter Jump, and I have read it. So how did you get into you said you're fond of reading books, but how come writing? And it's a very practical experience that you have mentioned in the book, and I'm sure many of the people who would read it and who would go over the book would relate to whatever is written in that. But how come that thought came into your mind, Apurva?
Like I've written in the book also, if you see in my preface, this was something, which the day I left the army, even before that, when I was sitting in an interview, even before I had left or I'd hung my uniform, I realized while sitting in the uniform, while sitting in the interview, that that fear of the unknown, जो होता है लोगों में कि अच्छा जाएंगे, कैसे होगा, क्या होगा. And I was being interviewed by a panel of almost like 8 people sitting in 6 different locations across the world. And I was being interviewed, बारी-बारी से मेरे से question पूछे जा रहे थे. And before the interview, I was very nervous. But as the interview progressed, I realized that, I actually could, answer to most of the things that they wanted to know, and the comfort level in answering them and the confidence that kept coming with every question was phenomenal. And that's when I decided that that fear of unknown जो हम लोग लेके चलते हैं whenever you are transiting from one career to another, that needs to go. And we need to understand that we all have certain very, very good qualities which you need to have confidence in. Right, so that self-confidence and the belief in oneself, that is something which I wanted to pass on to other people after me who would be leaving the army or who would be transiting from any career to another one. And that's the day I decided that I will write a book 5 years down the line, good or bad, whatever is my experience, but at least I'll tell people that it's not that bad, guys. Don't get unnecessarily worried or be completely, because कई बार होता है राजीव कि because of the fear of unknown, which is a lot of times unfounded, right? Because of the fear of the unknown, a lot of good people continue in a job which probably they're not liking, or probably they've always wanted a change but never had the courage to take that step. I did that with of course, I was also very scared initially. But then when I found my courage and I realized that, it is doable, I wanted to share that experience with everybody. And that's what prompted me to write this book, 10 Meter Jump. And luckily for me, I would say, the lockdown happened in 2020. And 2020 ka wo jo first phase of lockdown tha, that is when I got a lot of time. Because that was the time when we were, first time we were doing a lot of work from home, and things were not, a lot of things were closed. There wasn't too much of work to do the whole day. That's when I got a lot of time to start writing and, complete this book. And that's where, it started from. But then I've kind of, tasted blood. So I've already written for 2 more books. I've written short stories for 2 anthologies, which are about to get published. And I'm already working on my second book. So I also, want to put it across, guys, that if you want to write, please write. And once you've written a book, once it gets published and it does well, fortunately, my book is doing very well on Amazon. But once it does well, you will realize that you would have tasted blood. And uske baad, then there's no looking back. Uske baad ek ke baad ek kitabein aati jayengi. And that's what I plan to do now.
So covering the last bit of the 360 degree of your life. So you said last time when we were talking that you inherited the singing skills from your father, and you are a passionate singer, you are a music lover, and so very, very apt and appropriate to fit in the last leg of our program as well. So we always request अपने मेहमान से हम हमेशा ये गुजारिश करते हैं कि कोई बहुत अच्छा सा गाना सुनाए. आपसे मैं करना चाहता हूँ कि 2-3 सुना दीजिए आप, क्योंकि आप बहुत ही बेहतरीन गाते हैं और मैंने आपके बहुत सारे गाने सुने हैं आपके YouTube चैनल पे. So one song that you think describes you best.
मैं राजीव एक गाना गाऊंगा. Why it is it's close to my heart, because this was a song which I sang to, I mean, of course, my wife didn't know that I was a singer when we started going around. But then this has been one song that I've always sung for her, kind of, right? And something which is very, very close to both of us.
फूलों के रंग से, दिल की कलम से, तुझको लिखी रोज पाती. कैसे बताऊं किस किस तरह से पल पल मुझे तू सताती. तेरे ही सपने लेकर के सोया, तेरी ही यादों में जागा, तेरे ख्यालों में उलझा रहा यूं जैसे के माला में धागा. हाँ, बादल बिजली चंदन पानी जैसा अपना प्यार लेना होगा जन्म हमें कई बार. हाँ, इतना मधुर तेरा मेरा प्यार लेना होगा जन्म हमें कई बार.
So from a soldier to a corporate leader to an author to a singer. So that's 360 degrees. Thank you so much, Apurva, for coming on this show of Jaane-Anjaane. And I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you for having me here. It was a wonderful experience for me. Thank you.